Okay, I cannot hear you.
Oh, okay, cool. I
Oh,
can hear. I hear
I'm
you on Facebook, and I hear you on the Queen Street.
okay. So I guess I'll have to stay on the speaker, right?
No, I can hear you
No,
fine.
I'm on the speaker. So okay. No, no, I'm on my speaker on my phone. So I'm saying that's what I'll have to do. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Are we getting any feedback?
I'm not hearing any. I just hear like three different delays from you though. But
No, no, no. Will the delay come across on the air? I get that's the issue, right?
no, it shouldn't be. I mean, like that's built in.
Okay, let's make sure that we don't have that, okay?
We'll do.
Okay, how will we know?
I'll have it up, and I will let you know if it's an issue.
When we're on the air?
Well, I'll also let you know when we're testing Reverend Ricky Johnson.
Okay, no, let's do that's what the test is for, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Alrighty.
Okay. No, I'm talking to you, but I'm writing some other things down.
No worries.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Hey Carol, hey Robert.
Stay on the phone call.
No, you don't have to, but I'm saying it has to be um
Right.
right. I'm just trying to make sure.
Yeah. Okay, for sure.
All
Talk to you
right.
in a minute.
Okay. No, Henry.
Thanks, Jay.
Henry, you disconnected the clean feed when you hung up.
Did I?
Yes.
It says you're still on here.
I I don't I you know what? Okay.
Although I'm not getting levels from it.
You know what? Make your run and hurry up and come back, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
Be back in literally a minute.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Henry.
Enough that.
Henry?
Hello.
Yes.
All right. So let's figure this out real quick.
Okay, let me come back because I was kicked off again.
Okay.
Just let me do that. Okay.
Okay, it just says you left via Clean Fleet. I'm assuming you're like re whatever.
I am.
Perfect.
So get can you get the pastor up? Okay, now you come off your phone and let me hear you here on Clean Feed.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, can I hear you now? I can hear you. Can you let me hear you again, please?
Awesome.
Okay, great, wonderful.
Let me hear you on. I'm gonna pull you up on Facebook and hear you from there and make sure that it's sounding good.
Okay, thank you.
To find a solution. Tune into the Tom Harmon radio program, Your Home, for news, opinion, and insight, right here on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
All right, you sound good there.
Okay, then that's great. Okay, and I will be right back. Can you bring up the pastor? Give me 1 minute. Bring her up though, please.
The Russian military has set a deadly Ukrainian rocket.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull her up right now, and then we'll test.
Because of unauthorized use of cell phones by Russian soldiers. Russian authorities confirmed that phone signals allowed Kiev's forces to determine the location of military personnel and launch a strike. The death toll has now gone above 80, according to the Russian military. I'm Karen Chamas. We're learning more about the condition of the Buffalo Bills' Damar Hamlin. He is still in critical condition at a Cincinnati hospital after going into cardiac arrest on the field. His uncle says he had to have his heart restarted twice, once on the field and again after he arrived at the hospital. AP said Donahue.
Fans have gathered outside University of Cincinnati Medical Center. Bills fans and Bengals fans, like Billy Jefferson. It was just a big shock, like it was just a big silence, like no one knew what to do. Hamlin's family expressed gratitude for the support, saying, "Keep praying." I'm Ed Donahue.
Top House Republican Kevin McCarthy says he is not giving up. He wants to be House Speaker, and after failing to make it yesterday, he's going to try again today as the House reconvenes.
We may have a battle on the floor, but the battle is for the conference and the country, and that's fine with me.
McCarthy says he was encouraged in a phone call with former President Trump. The FDA has finalized a rule change that makes abortion pills more available to many more pharmacies, including large chains and mail-order companies. The change could expand access at both brick-and-mortar stores and online pharmacies. Friday night's the next Mega Millions drawing. The jackpot will be worth about $940 million. This is AP News. Now to a murder suspect. The AP's Donna Warder.
Indiana State Police say the suspect in the murders of 4 University of Idaho students had been stopped twice in Indiana for a traffic violation 15 days before his arrest. Body cam footage shows Brian Koberger's white Hyundai Elantra being stopped in Indiana on December 15th for following too closely. Koberger, whose father was in the front passenger seat, was let go with a verbal warning. He had been stopped minutes before by the local sheriff's department for the same traffic violation.
I'm gonna give you guys a ticket warning.
Okay.
The 28-year-old criminology grad student.
Hey everybody, how you doing today?
Stabbings of the 4 students, aged 20 and 21.
Boy, so much is going on in the world.
into custody December 30th at his parents' home.
The life of every child is precious beyond measure.
Hey, everybody, like and share the show, okay? Who like and share the show. The members of Congress are still not sworn in, just so that you know, because of what was happening yesterday.
Through the Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI. The program provides help to meet basic needs.
Yes, Henry.
For some reason, the clean feed's coming in really
Okay.
cutting in and out. I'm just gonna call you.
Just call me on the phone and let me come off clean feed, okay?
Yeah. I
Okay.
also just added another minute to the Parlor Show.
Perfect. Thank you, hon. Can you bring on the pastor?
Yeah, she's on, and I'm just gonna call you real quick.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. How does this sound, Henry?
That sounds perfect.
Okay, great.
Put that hold and touch for a moment.
Chicago weather update.
Okay. Bring up Pastor Vicky. Hey, you know what? I just saw your text late. And what I will do is you'll be getting, can you send me your email? Did you send me that?
Sure.
Okay.
Perfect. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Bush.
Oh, boy.
Currently, it's 38.
My dad's 13 now. He's sick and everyone never talked about it. My mom knew not to ask. Dad buried himself in the work. Self-medicated.
Okay. Hey, everybody.
Put him on edge. It got rough. So I finally said to him, Dad.
Okay. I need to know if you can hear Pastor Johnson on Facebook.
Good morning to everybody. And I know that this is going to be a great year full of great shows.
All right, I hear everyone loud and clear.
Okay. I continue to put her on the speaker. So, okay.
I got my dad back.
Listen to hundreds of inspiring stories at maketheconnection.net and learn how you can support the veterans in your life. Treatment works. Recovery is possible.
Has your gambling become a financial and emotional problem? Is your life unmanageable when you're studying in this hope?
Okay. Hey, everybody. How you doing this morning? Like and share. Hey, Carol from New York City. Love it. Robert, how you doing? Samantha. Shirley from beautiful Philadelphia.
We're going down in 3.5 minutes.
Thank you. 3.5 minutes. Okay.
How your life can get better. At
Okay. Oh, boy.
www.chh.org.
Shalom. I'm sure that's what you meant, Robert. Rose Cole, how you doing?
From borrowing audiobooks,
Oh, my goodness.
taking virtual do-it-yourself classes,
I will do that. God bless you.
the library card. Pursue your passions and dreams with your library.
Please send me a direct message, okay?
September is Library Card Sign Up Month. Join the festivities by getting your own library card.
I'm so sorry.
Visit your library's website.
Keep your family in our prayers.
Sponsored by the American Library.
The future
Okay,
depends on
Miss Rose, Mrs.
every
Rose.
day. Teachers are shaping our tomorrow, starting their students on journeys that will change.
Well,
the
I
course
guess
of
that is one of the questions.
Right now,
How can
in
you
a
become
classroom
speaker?
somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an inspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. Without start, teachers who meet challenges with creativity will reinvent education for the future, who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach.
Miss Vicky? Okay, we have 2 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, just checking on you, trying to make sure that you are still there. Oh, girl. You know what? I mean, I know this sounds like really innocuous and silly, but you know, when I can you turn that down just a bit, Henry? The radio feed. Well, you don't have to turn it off. You can just, because when you turn it off, I don't know if you're still there. If you just bring it down just a little bit. Thank you, Pastor Vicky. No, just bring it down a little bit more, a little bit more, Henry. Just a little. Okay, that's good. That's good. You know, I have got crazy static in my hair, but I think I've just worn it straight to. You know, I'm gonna have to do what I do, like in the middle of the week. I never used to use conditioner. I always use Johnson's baby shampoo. I think I'm gonna go back to that.
60 seconds.
Honestly, I never had any problems when I had that. I did. You know, my mother asked me, when did you not have problems with your hair? I said, when I use Johnson's baby shampoo.
Well, then it looks like you need to go back.
You know, I went and bought some from CVS yesterday.
Now until December 31st.
Because, I mean, it's like static and You know, I was like, whoa, what is all this? My mother said,
have that kind of hair. 30 seconds.
That doesn't help me. So what? It's all hair. You know, because, when you go to Paris and South Africa, people cut all their hair off and they look fabulous, you know. The older, I mean, my mother, you remember when Mom gave Jackie and I afros, so she didn't want us to care about hair, so we really don't. That's why we keep it pulled back most of the time. Nobody cares about that. It's just because it's just hair, that's all it is. It's just hair. Hey, everybody. Hey. Happy New Year still. I do that for the longest time. And Happy New Year to you, to my board operator, Henry. Happy New Year. God bless you, everybody. It's Wednesday, January 4th, 2023. Can you believe we're in 2023 and what a year it is turning out to be already? So much is happening. We're going to talk about two of the biggest stories that people are just focusing on at this time. Of course, going to continue to go into the Damar Hamlin story. It turns out he was resuscitated twice. Indeed, he is fighting for his life. He's been intubated. When you're intubated, that's serious business, everybody. And we have got to talk about that, not just NFL safety protocols, but underlying health conditions and other things. There's a lot of speculation. Unfortunately, corporate media and the culture in which we are living doesn't allow you to have a fair and really open discussion about people's speculations. And that's a shame, because we need to know what happened. We need to know what happened to this young man. And so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. You can talk about whatever your speculations are. You can put them on my chat line. I don't care what they are. Put them there. So that I can know what's on your mind, your collective mind, and what's on your individual minds. But of course, we have to look at what's happening in Washington. I came here because I was going to watch my brother and so many other wonderful people get sworn in to Congress yesterday, both houses. Jonathan technically is still, Pastor Vicky, Congressman-elect. They were not sworn in yesterday. They do not have a Speaker of the House. And it just got to be crazier and crazier and crazier. We had a watch party, and it was like, wait a minute, Hakeem Jeffries is leading the man who moved into the Speaker's office, maybe prematurely. But the question is, will Kevin McCarthy have to deal with the Dems? Will he make a deal with Democrats? Or will he have to give in to the right-wing GOP? What's the deal? What's going on, everybody? Because this is politics. You have to make deals. So what is going on? How are they going to get out of this mess? We've not seen anything like this since 1923 in 100 years. There's a lot going on in America, and we're seeing it reflected in the People's House. So we've got to talk about that today. Of course, John Nichols is going to give us his insights. We're going to have Dr. D. We're going to have Erin Connolly, who's in Washington. I'm going to see her later on today with Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez, the first Hispanic woman elected to the House of Representatives from our region of the country. That's a lot to celebrate, everybody. And of course, Attorney Darrell Jones, and we'll have Dr. Shanina Knighton, and we'll be hearing from the anointed Pastor Vicki Johnson in just a couple of minutes. So let's get to some of these headlines, everybody. Let's take it away. In Chicago, 46 degrees and thunderstorms. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, it is snowing up there, everybody. Heavy snow, heavy snowstorm. Please be careful. Please, 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 please be careful. A winter warning. I want to dedicate the show to Mrs. Rose Cole and her family, Reverend Dr. Frederick Cole of the Great West Side, the best side of Chicago, made his transition, sending you all much, 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 much love today. Thank you for reaching out to me and letting me know about his place among the angels, as they say. The Bills and the Bengals have had their game suspended because of what we saw, the tragic heart attack of Damar Hamlin. The NFL announced yesterday, and this does have playoff implications, everybody, that for now the game will not be played. Will the Bills be able to go on? Will they be able to advance to the playoffs? How is this going to impact everything? Many people want to know. And so we are going to find out rather shortly. We're going to find out, and we'll just have to see. We don't know, but something. There was an incredible symmetry yesterday. Damar Hamlin was at the forefront of the minds of the Buffalo Sabres from the time they woke up, according to this NBC report, through the end of their 5-4 overtime victory of the Capitals. Check this out, everybody. Check this out, Pastor Johnson. One of the players scored 3 goals. Now, mind you, Damar Hamlin's number is 3. A lot of people walked into the stadium yesterday wearing T-shirts with the number 3 on them. Thompson scored 3 goals, including the 3rd goal exactly into 3-on-3 overtime on January 3rd. You can't make this up. And Thompson now has 30 goals for the season. We pray that those angels of healing continue to surround this family, the Hamlin family, and only God knows what we're to learn from this, because there's a lot of speculation, and we ought to be able to talk about it, everybody, so that we can really, really increase our health. So let me get on with this, everybody. The Timberwolves, we've got a lot going on, everybody. The Trailblazers will be playing the Timberwolves tonight, and the Nets will be playing the Bulls. And it's just incredible, the symmetry. I want to remind you of the January 26th mayoral debate hosted by WCPT. It will be streamed live on all of our platforms. Patty Vasquez, Joan Esposito, and I will be moderating that discussion. We've gotten acceptances from many, if not most, of the candidates. And I want you to send me direct messages. Let me know the questions that you'd like me to ask. What's really on your minds? Because that's what I'm there for. I want you to let me know. You can send me an email at Santita S. Jackson at WCPT820.com, or just go to the Santita Jackson and Friends page. Yeah, you can do that too. So let me know what's on your minds. But you know what? We've got a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about. So let's get right to it. Pastor Vicki Johnson, it's always a joy to hear your voice. Boy, is this the year. I think it is on and cracking. I love it. What is the good news?
Well, good morning, Santita, and good morning to all of your morning stars and friends, and Happy New Year. There is good news. As the year 2022 came to an end, people were talking about the top news stories. The January 6th hearing, Russia invading Ukraine, high inflation rates, monkeypox, mass shootings in Uvalde, Texas, a Buffalo supermarket, in a Virginia Walmart,
Colorado Springs nightclub shooting, and other places right in our own communities. Roe versus Wade was overturned. The death of Queen Elizabeth and the transfer of power to King Charles. Hurricanes and tsunamis. The midterm elections that seemed like they would never go away. So we came out victorious with Jonathan Jackson. The death of Sidney Poitier and many other noted entertainers and activists. The death of Barbara Walters, a mentor to so many women in journalism. And the death of Pope Benedict. So with all of this that happened last year, I would like to make an important funeral announcement. It is with our deepest heartfelt sympathy that I inform you about the death of our beloved friend and sometimes enemy, Brother 2022. He is survived by 12 wives, 52 children, and 365 grandchildren. The funeral took place on Saturday, the 31st of December at 11:59 p.m. His family members asked me to inform you that he died with all of your problems, your sicknesses, disappointment, frustration, ultimate death, shame, disgrace, barrenness, disencouragement, failures, and rejection. Yet his successor, Mrs. 2023, asked me to inform you that she is going to compensate you with the Word of God, life, health, strength, abundant blessings, forgiveness, love, peace, joy, happiness, success, understanding, righteousness, promotions, elevations, and breakthrough. Glory to God. Your greater is coming. Believe it, receive it, it's yours. If you will do this, then I believe that you will in this new year of 2023. Then to me, that's good news.
That was brilliant and anointed. Thank you for that. Thank you for breaking down 2022 that way. Never heard it like that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Pastor Vicki Johnson. Wow, wow, wow. Bury it. It is gone. What are the one day at a time? Sweet Jesus. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday is gone. There's nothing you can do but be better today, everybody. Just go on. Pastor Vicki Johnson, very quickly, how can we hear you? How can we hear past sermons? How can we worship with you on Sunday?
You can worship with us at St. Thomas Lutheran Church at 8000 South Jefferson Boulevard, Chicago, Illinois. Our worship time has changed to 11:30 a.m. 11:30 a.m. each Sunday. If you can't come in person, then please tune us in on Facebook. We would be so happy to have you in this year of 2023.
Love it, love you, love it, love you. And can't wait to do that, everybody. And you can go back, and if you want to hear her good news for today, go to WCPT820.com/Santita. Listen to the podcast of this show, and you'll be able to get that snippet. And I encourage you to pass it along. We've got the Dr. Shanita Knighton with us, infection preventionist, one of the leaders in the health field. We are so glad to have her with us in this new year on this Wednesday. She wants to talk to us about long COVID. A lot of people feel that they have it. What is long COVID? How do you know if you have it or if you don't have some other malady?
Good morning, Santita. How are you? Happy New Year.
Oh, I'm glad to hear your voice, girly girl.
Awesome. So I think more so than anything, one of the big things to think about when we're talking about long COVID is symptoms that have tended to last for weeks, months, and sometimes even years. But I bring this up because, like, as we talk about the new year and as we just heard, Pastor mentioned, how to, like, think about things that are in the past and think about what's in the new. It's going into 2023 and making sure that we are concerned about our health and remembering that prevention is better than treatment. Many of us may try to tell ourselves that we are okay when it comes to after COVID. But I still just want to remind people that since this pandemic started, and let's say it got on our radar, February 29th of 2020, when the first death occurred, we've been still uncovering what is COVID, what are the long-term effects of COVID, how do you treat COVID, how is COVID spread. I still prevails in terms of us still trying to get a better understanding and wrap our mind around this illness. With that being said, we also started to learn that symptoms that someone may have, or let's say weird things such as the ringing in the ears, people have like an extended cough for a long period of time, people having brain fog, those things that seem temporary and that people may have seemed to complain about, people are still faced with those challenges, and that is whether they had mild COVID or severe COVID. Mm. One of the most studies that came out, and this was not too long ago, shared that individuals that have brain fog, these individuals may have symptoms such as memory loss. They're actually finding that some have an aging brain compared to those that don't have COVID. You may have issues with focusing, meaning that, yes, you may have been sharp about something and may have been able to have your attention span divert to certain activities, but maybe you're struggling with that as of late and cannot understand why. I'm bringing these things up because we may ignore them and we may think that they're not important, or we may say, oh, this too shall pass. But it's important to give ourselves grace and think about our health in the way of, am I impacted by COVID? So what are the takeaways? For one, being honest with yourself and understanding, am I different? And is there something different about me that maybe I'm just attributing to aging, or I'm attributing it to a certain event or a certain activity? Two, it means going out and saying, can I get a primary care provider? Should I get a primary care provider? And what questions do I need to ask my primary care provider about symptoms that I have been ignoring? So the first one, again, is being honest with yourself. Two is making sure that you are seeking preventative care and getting some sort of primary care provider on board so that way you can get regular checkups. Third is going to be taking care of your health. And when I say taking care of your health, it's taking care of yourself, meaning that is, if you are working extended hours, understanding that that job is going to be there. But if you're not taking care of your own health, will you be there or will you be replaced? It means making sure you are eating healthy and boosting your immune system. So that way, should you encounter a COVID, a RSV, or a flu, your body is in the best position to be able to fight it off. It also means exercise. It means figuring out ways to relieve stress that you may encounter. So saying all these things to say, Santita, that when we talk about long COVID, talk about how it potentially is impacting people right now, we have to think about health more consciously to understand if we have been impacted by long COVID. Some of us have and may not be coming to the realization of it when we're thinking that we're having temporary forgetfulness, or we're not as sharp as we once were, and we're thinking that it's just due to being tired. We have to stop making those excuses and understand what's really going on with our bodies, because some of us, our early warning symptoms are not as sharp as they were, was telling us that something is going on with our bodies. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of that.
Amen to that. I've got about a minute. If you have long COVID, what can you do? Robert has said, he had long COVID in 2020 and he had extended, joint pain in his back and legs for more than a year. Is there a medicine that you can take if you do have joint pain, or if you're having headaches, or, just whatever the malady is there anything you can do about it? Can you isolate and treat that issue?
So there's a such thing as being able to, let's say, manage symptoms. And I'm not going to tell you that that's the case for everything, meaning I'm not sure what the treatment would be for trying to cure brain fog, right, or forgetfulness. But what I will say is it is important to be in contact with your primary care provider, a trusted provider more so than anything, to make sure that you are having those ongoing discussions when it comes to your health, to see what potential treatments are available. Again, COVID doesn't necessarily have a cure right now, but we know that the side effects of COVID symptoms can be managed even if it's not treated.
Everybody, hey, Dr. Nina, HEYDRNINA, that's her handle. Go on and meet her so that you can ask her the questions, follow her. We want people to know who this great academician, nurse, PhD, infection preventionist is. Sending you much love, Dr. Nina. Coming up, let's talk about Damara Hamlin, everybody. What are the legal implications of this case? Back in just a moment. Okay. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, good. We're sorry. They said they think your phone died yesterday. And I said, oh my goodness, I was running. I couldn't even finish my own show because I had to run to go to the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus's swearing in ceremony. But they're still not officially sworn in, the congresspersons, because they don't have a speaker. Whoa. Oh my goodness, you can't make this stuff up. You know what? I need to call you for some advice, because you made an observation that I think might be true in my case, and I want to know what other things I can do if this turns out to be true. What I can do just to live with and make myself better.
No, absolutely. I was going to say, definitely always something that we can talk about for sure.
I will do that. And I'm being straight up with, oh, you're so sweet, Carolyn. I have static and it's crazy. But I've also, over the past few days, been sweating a lot at night. Because many of you have noticed I've lost weight. I've lost about 41 pounds this year. I'd meant to lose weight, but I've had some other issues. So, like the first 2025, yep, I was on track for that. But just other things have come up. And I share these things with you because maybe they will help you. There's nothing new under the sun. And so what I'm trying to do now, and when I come to some conclusions, I'll share some things with you, or when the doctors do, as we all come together and find these things out. But I have nothing that is fatal, except living, because we're all going to get out of here. But I'm doing well. I just, there's some things that I'm probably going to have to live with. And everybody, please take care of yourselves. And this is why we really, when they talk about the overrun hospitals, Dr. Knighton, we have to talk about the fact that you don't have 1 million hospital beds in a country of 330 million people. That's insane. To me. I'm like,
Even though you got all the
that's it. Let me know. You're trying to figure out how to keep people out of medical school, out of nursing school. You're trying to figure out how America could be on the cutting edge of medicine worldwide. People there's medical tourism, more and more people going to India, they're going to Dubai, they're going all over the world to get some of the best treatment in the world. And America's trying to figure out how not to get you a hospital bed. So, at the height of the pandemic, you're hearing the hospitals are overrun. Yeah, well, we don't have enough hospital beds to start with. How about that piece? People couldn't get therapeutics. How about that piece? Huh?
I said, well, we don't have enough healthcare providers to start with either. That's the one thing people don't think about. Is just to your point, there's 130 million patients. But the question is how many physicians and how many nurses do we have? More than 330 million.
Would you
and
put?
We were talking about.
I'm gonna have to move on, but can you? If we can do that tomorrow or the next day, that would be great. Just to have a little bit more time to talk about that, because I think that's nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Crazy. Here, you gotta. Okay, stand by. Do we have Attorney Hoffler and Holmes?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And what about your Pearl?
She's ready.
Perfect. Hey everybody, welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. I love that song, We Can Change the World. Thank you, Gary Hines. I'm going to play a song. I just got permission to use it, one that I recorded some years ago, a couple of them. And so you'll be hearing that too in 2023, in the next few days. So moving forward, this is WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Everybody, please go on over there, like and share. And Santita Jackson and Friends, my Facebook page. That's my official page, everybody. That's where you need to go. So please go to the Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page and the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. That's where I really need you to be. Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. And let's talk about Damar Hamlin. We need to know what happened to him. No one knows. And he's really, really struggling with his health. It turns out he needed to be resuscitated not once, but twice. And fortunately, the NFL has safety protocols in place that saved his life, or certainly that have kept him alive. But we need to know what's happening in our high schools, what's happening in college. What protections do parents have? Can you imagine how his mother and family felt when they saw him make the tackle, stand up like it, and he was okay, and then he just falls out? What's that? And many people are speculating really about what happened. Yeah, and I think we ought to be able to do that without being called conspiracy theorists. We need to know what happened to this athlete who's 24 years of age, who's in the prime of his life, one of the best conditioned bodies on earth, and he has a massive heart attack, and they're fighting to keep him alive. Are you serious? His heart stopped at the game and stopped on the way to the hospital. 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. And I promise you, no matter what your speculation is, you will not get cut off. Okay? But we're so glad to have the birthday girl back. I found out on Facebook that you had a birthday. Now, you know, girl, I didn't know. And of course, she looks like a model in this picture. But Pearl is gorgeous, and her daughters look just like her. And her husband looks like, they all look alike. They're gorgeous people. So happy birthday, girl. Happy birthday. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Santita. Happy New Year to everyone. We are back and up and running and taking orders and celebrations by us. We're getting ready for this Super Bowl, so get all your hors d'oeuvres ready. So give us a call at 708-526-4546, 708-526-4546. We look forward to serving everyone. We are taking orders. We're taking orders for cakes, cookies, hors d'oeuvres, as well as also your setup in decor. So give us a call at 708-526-4546. and we look forward to serving you. Thank you so much, Santita.
And happy birthday, Madam Chaparral Wells. That's what you call them, late Sadie ladies, the married ladies. Sending you much love today. We have got, of course, legal Q&A with CK is a little early today. We're going to be talking about in this block Damar Hamlin and that story. That is something that has captivated the world. And people have a lot of questions, and they have a lot of, and there's a lot of speculation about why this happened to him. We're seeing a lot of athletes and a lot of people just dropping dead all around the world, and that's something that has to be addressed. You need to find out why. The best conditioned people in the world, heart problems. Do we need to have a better screening process before people are allowed to play little league? That's right, or high school sports, college sports, professional sports. Think about Hank Gathers. See, that's our generation, CK, and perhaps Attorney Holmes. When we saw this great athlete, this great basketball player just collapse and die on the court, it was absolutely devastating for all of us. But these are the issues that we need to deal with. And Attorney CK Hoffler and, of course, Attorney Shannon Holmes are engaged in a new project because as a Division I football mom, that she has to put on her mom hat. I remember when she was having these babies. I can't believe this. She saw something else, and the parents, because of her brilliance and expertise, saw this court TV legal analyst, chair of Rainbow Push, former president of the National Bar Association, the largest and oldest bar association. When the school and the coaching staff heard her speak, they said, we need to talk to her because she really knows the questions to ask. And this could get litigious if we don't do this right. Talk to us, CK, because we find out now that Damar Hamlin, they have him on his stomach. They're doing everything. Clearly, he's fighting for his life. He not only needed to be resuscitated at the game, on the way to the game, his heart couldn't keep going. He's being intubated. He can't breathe on his own. What's going on? And I mean, and if he had a congenital issue, what if he had some medicine that hurt him? I mean, what are the questions that we need to be asking as parents and as guardians and as loved ones? I mean, what do you think of this situation? And go forward, because this is really a new part of your practice.
Good morning, actually, yes, it is. And happy birthday to the magnificent Chaparral. Wow. So just so excited to celebrate another birthday on this great day. Yes, Santita, my heart goes out to this young man, to his family, because I am his mother and his mother is me. Mm-hmm. I have two children, and this is where I start when we go to the legal analysis, because at the end of the day, we all are people. We are mothers, we are aunties, we're godmothers, and we watch, and godfathers. But right now I want to focus on the mothers, because the mothers are the driving force behind athletes going to college. And I say that just based on information. The fathers play a very critical role as well. But for a lot of these athletes, the mothers are the ones who are approached. The mothers are the ones who are working with their children on a day-to-day basis. And again, that's not just for the fathers, because the fathers play a critical role and are also very engaged. But a lot of the schools work with the mothers when they are in high school, when they are in middle school, when there's an identification of a very, very stellar athlete. I know what I speak of because that is me. And when the schools identify, when you see your child evolve from being, as in my case, with one of my children, the most awkward, uncoordinated child in his class. Awkward, uncoordinated, in need of help with his coordination because he was so big, to a 4-star athlete. And it seems like it's overnight. There is a machinery that kicks into place in private schools and public schools, just across the board, to corral and collect the talent of your child. And so immediately when you do it as a parent, no matter what your socioeconomic background is, you say, okay, my child has some talent. What do I do to support my child and to nurture that talent? And that's where the story begins, from a medical standpoint. Because if your child is playing football, let's start with football. So I'm right there because of the tragedy that the world has seen. And by the way, this happens all the time. We just saw it on TV. It has the same effect, Santita and Shannon, as when we first saw George Floyd. When we saw that video, the world stopped. Oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. We saw a man being killed by law enforcement in front of our eyes on a video. Well, what we saw on the football field was this young man dying. We saw him dying before our very own, not dying, but being close to death. And we felt, we felt he was dying because he wasn't moving. His teammates' reaction. I felt he was dying. My heart was beating because, as I said, I'm his mother is me. That's the position that I think about. That's what keeps me up at night. Will that be my child? Could that be my child? Because the sport that this entire nation is mesmerized by because it's religious, and I'm in it. With our players, what is the toll on our players, and what can we do to protect our players? That's the issue. Because it happens so quickly. Your child goes from having baby breaths to being a 4 or 5-star athlete and being recruited heavily because of their athletic prowess. And so the mother is saying, what can I do to protect my child? It is from that feeling, that mother looking at that child. He was a child on that football field when he collapsed from the cars. When I looked at that, I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to go further in protecting children. But before that happened, because of my children, both of them are about, one is already at a Division I football school playing football. The other is about to start in June at a Division I football school. Both of them were blessed with athletic talent. Now I'm 5'4". I like to believe, I don't know, that because their power is much bigger. But I always think my genealogy, whatever, 5'4". But I say that because you have to have concern with them because it could happen to you. You can never say, oh, that's because, no, that's because you're invested. That's because you could be there. So from that Santita, what I did is I said, I've got to do more to protect my children. And this has morphed into really a mission of mine. As a lawyer and trial lawyer, what I do is because I'm a plaintiff's lawyer, I give voice to the voiceless. I lecture so many lawyers, help so many people, because I love doing that. I love helping. I love giving voice where no one allows people to speak. But if I can't give voice to my children, my own children, then what am I doing? And so from that emerged this notion and new passion that I have, which is to develop an NIL team, name, image, and likeness team, primarily comprised of lawyers. And Shannon Holmes is one of the lead lawyers with me in that office, who would be in a position to work to help to protect our children who are playing football, really on the college level. This is different, if you will, from when kids go to the NFL. When they go to the NFL, they are already part of a machinery. The protection needs to happen. The input from a different way, from my standpoint, needs to happen when they're in high school. When their athletic prowess is being noticed and they're being approached for all of these opportunities.
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask you this, because when the money gets in it, people start being nice to you. You get phone calls from people who would have walked past you before. My question is, then should we have health screenings of people of our children who want to try out for teams, boys and girls, right? To see if they have any congenital heart problems or underlying health conditions that might imperil them in the future. Would that be part of these protections, CK? I mean, because these kids are being pulled into athletics very young, very early in their lives, as young kids.
Well, Santita, at some schools, there are health screenings.
Okay.
But you can't, when you play, if your child today in most schools, well, let me just say in a private school setting, if they play football, they cannot, every year they have to have a physical. All kids have to have a physical. Now, since COVID, and I know this again, I'm in this space, my child to play this year had to have a cardiologist sign off on his ability to play. So it wasn't just a regular physical. Cardiologist, because he took the COVID vaccine, and they didn't mandate at the school, but it was strongly encouraged. In the contact sport, it is strongly encouraged that you take the COVID vaccine because, obviously, if you're playing a contact sport, you're trying, you're practicing, you're training with your teammates, you're lifting weights. The rigors, the physical rigors of the sport require them training. My kids train every day, except for not every day. They have one day off, 6 days a week, some form of training. Intense training with other young men. If you do have COVID, it's going to spread. So the conventional wisdom or the protocols was to strongly encourage the vaccination. But for my child to come back to school, he had to have a cardiologist clear him. All the football players did. I don't know if it was all the athletes, but I know the football players did because, in fact, I learned this from Dr. Knighton, Santita, from your show, who was just on this morning, who's just amazing. She is the one who said to me, you need to check this out. You need to keep your eye on this with your child. And so I did. I was looking into this and this is before the school mandated it, having a cardiologist look at him, just clear him to play football because of some link, it was on the CDC website, between myocarditis and the vaccine. It was one of the things that could happen. And there have been cases of children. Remember, Pfizer came out with the first vaccine relative to children. If your children were 16 or under, Pfizer was the only option. And then there was like a disclaimer about myocarditis that could be one of them. There were a lot of side effects that they would say, but in children, that was one of them. So when you talk about screening, health screening, Santita, that did happen at my children's school. I don't know if it happened at every school. I don't know if it happened in the public school. I don't know that, but I know that for my child to play, he had to have that clearance, and he did. But even when you have that clearance, that may not be enough. I mean, you have a clearance. Suppose you do have a congenital issue, and it might be undetected. You really don't know. You have to really stay on top of your children's physical condition. But suppose you can't afford insurance. Suppose you can't afford to go to the doctors. Suppose you can't afford all of those things. And we talked about this because you just don't have the resources.
Well,
CK,
don't
have the resources. So you're making decisions, but you may not know. And by the way, this might continue through college.
But CK, let's bring in Attorney Holmes, because one of the things that I think that both of you really, and I want CK, you bring him on, because I think what you all stand against, because our kids, when they get into these big schools, they're in their system, so they use their doctors. CK, I mean, how can we make sure we have some independence and we're getting great advice? CK, take it away.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring on Shannon because I talked about this name, image, and likeness. Meaning today, and this wasn't the case, children can, going into, actually now it's in high school, some high schools, they can get paid for their name, image, and likeness. There's sponsors that'll say, look, if you just use, promote us on social media, come speak a little bit, and these, of course, these 4- and 5-star athletes, then we'll pay you for your name, image, and likeness. And they sign a contract. These children, no legal representation most of the time, they sign a contract and away they go. Some of them get millions of dollars, Bentleys. You all see that there are the star quarterback of this team, the star running back of this team, the star defensive. They can get paid millions of dollars in time or in cash. And so that is what's happening. So in that instance, we felt that the children, again, this is another place where they're not protected. Shannon Holmes was a magnificent attorney. He hails from Dallas, Texas, and he practiced law. But he is someone who I've known for years with the National Bar Association. And so we felt, along with another group of attorneys that we've assembled, to do this work to protect enlightenment and their careers going forward before they even go to college, Santita. But Shannon Holmes is bad to the bone section. He's extraordinary. He's been on our show before. He represents athletes right now and entertainers, and he's just a phenomenal lawyer. So, Shannon, I'm going to call you on to, and by the way, he's now an author. He's written a book. He is so entrenched in this and so persuaded that of the need for protection. He's written a book that basically tells these athletes, these young athletes, you've got to treat your life as if you were a corporate executive. If you are pursuing a football career, a basketball career, a soccer career, you must treat your life as you are a corporate executive and have the consultants that you need to protect you, including the type of medical to understand your body, healthcare issues, legal consultants, and others to help you in this journey. Otherwise, there could be traps or consequences. But I'm going to let him talk about it because he's phenomenal and a bit author. Shannon?
Well, you only have 4 more minutes, but I promise you I'm going to bring you all back because, you do see that Damar Hamlin is a corporate entity, right? Or corporate assets.
Thanks as always for allowing me to share and to take part with you guys. First of all, my prayers and also with the Hamlin family, certainly a tragedy death that we all witnessed on Monday night. And to speak to that, we've seen this before. I think you mentioned this, CK. We've seen this before. I think you mentioned this, Santita, with Glenn Bias and Gathers and others. There's an issue a few years ago with a guy at Minnesota Vikings who had some type of medical issue. I think at practice, I think it was a heart issue. I know he died. Forgive me, I just don't remember all the details. But again, that was when it was talked about. I think it centered around his heart. And so, again, we know about the CTE issue, which is the issue that NFL has looked at from concussions that guys have suffered. And there's even been, settlement with the NFL with some of the guys being paid, most of the retired guys, being paid. And there was an issue with that from a racial issue where there's some discrimination between the black players and the white players and how they were being evaluated and how they were being compensated. So that's still ongoing. I just want to make this one point because I know Santita said we're going to go to break. That in protecting our athletes and athletes protecting themselves and treating themselves as a business, especially at the collegiate level and even more at the professional level, these guys have to consider disability insurance. If I could quickly just say, Mr. Hamlin, if he doesn't play again, all his dreams and thoughts and ideas and goals regarding compensation are done. He won't earn another NFL contract. But had he had a disability policy that of some sort of amount, maybe $5-10 million, then in the event he can't ever play football again, he would have been paid that amount of money. So that's just another way of guys protecting themselves when you're playing this sport. We know playing in football is playing by consent. And when we talk about the legal implications, when we look at the play on Monday night, there was nothing malicious. It was not illegal. It was not outside of the rules of the game. And so with that, we don't know now what caused this. Was it undiagnosed, which we've heard many instances, a lot of times it's something that went undiagnosed. Was it the contact? Is this that incidental, if you will, forgive my language, freak sheet, if you will, that just caused his heart to stop? I mean, those are the types of things we're all on the edge of our seats wanting to know from the medical staff. I hope we'll learn more in the future. I know without a doubt the NFL is going to do some research on this and continue to investigate this particular play, this incident, this medical issue. But with that being said, this is all consent, a legal hit, and yet this young man, as we know now, is fighting for his life, and certainly, his career hangs in the balance. And what happens after that? I mean, whether he can play again or not play again, how does that impact him, his family, and his life going forward? And those are the types of things CK and I are working with players as young as high school and college to make sure they understand you're not just out there running around and jumping and throwing your kids, but you're actually a business and you have to think of it that way and protecting yourself and your family as you go forward, particularly the professional way.
You know, when we get on the other side of the break, because I have to pivot into what happened in Washington yesterday, because we still do not have the U.S. House of Representatives sworn in. We still don't have a Speaker of the House. It is chaotic, and one wonders how legislation will get through when you have this kind of chaos. But this is an issue too, because our children are not recruited for their intellectual capabilities and abilities the way they are for their athletic abilities. And I'm with you, Renee Criswell, who is a teacher in our public school system. She said, what if they recruited our children as hard for their intellectual capabilities as they do for the athletic? And I can tell you, as a former merit scholar, they will recruit you hard. They won't give you the same kind of money. That's why many merit scholars ended up going to state schools starting in the 80s with me, because you got more money when you went to these, not to the Ivies, but to other institutions. But one has to wonder what will happen with Mr. Hamlin. I mean, because indeed, he didn't have a huge contract, but he was making a good living. What happens now? What happens now? I'm going to give you all about 5 minutes when we get on the other side, and then we've got to talk about Kevin McCarthy. What's going to happen? We're going to have Dr. D. I know he'll want to weigh in on this, CK and Attorney Holmes. Stay right here. More of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. CK, I'm sorry I have to pivot hard and speed it up, but I want you all to go into that, but I want you to come back. In fact, while the story's still hot, come back tomorrow morning. But, apportion that time. Maybe, well, no, come back in the morning. Come back in the morning, but stay here because, Dwight's coming on, and I'd like for him to weigh in because, he's been like a quasi agent for people. And if you all will excuse me, keep talking and speak loudly. I've got to make a quick run, my beautiful people. Okay. Okay. So keep talking with each other.
Shannon, good morning. Shannon, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I was just saying good morning and thank you for your comments. No, this is a real issue. Absolutely. And the other thing too, with Hamlin, who's going to touch him again? Let's suppose he does a full recovery. He's fully recovered. Let's let it go. It seems they're going to sympathize with it.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, he would have to sign off on. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, he's going to have to sign off on lots of waivers and consent, etc. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm so anxious to hear what this is and what caused this. I mean, and what they think. I mean, just to get some type of answer. I mean, yeah, as you know, CK, my wife's a doctor, and she didn't practice cardiology, but they have some working knowledge. And so, she said her thoughts regarding, what, this could be something again that's undiagnosed, or it could just be the impact. I mean, sometimes it's like when you're in a car wreck, and sometimes it's not a really bad car wreck, but as you know, CK, you've done these cases, I mean, just the hitting just the chest, could stop your heart. So, I don't know.
It makes you nervous.
I know for you, a mother of 2 kids in college football, absolutely. These underlines important. I know for sure at Clemson, because I worked with a family at Clemson a few years ago. I know Clemson will provide a disability policy for your son. Maybe not this year, but as he moves toward sophomore, junior year, if there's any speculation about him going to the NFL, they will provide a policy for him.
Well, and this is the thing. I'll get a policy. So, right, and I realize that is something, that is something that, how do you say? That is something that, maybe parents who are in different positions can do, that many of these parents may not be able to do. But they can negotiate when they want your children bad enough. There's a whole lot that you can negotiate. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is certainly, one of the things. It'll be just about anything when they want your child. Right. Good. Right. How are you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm playing today. The weather is so bad here now, and I'm in prayer. I feel some kind of way about all of it. I really do. I really do. It's permeating. Well, and it's helping to shape a lot of the thinking in my mind of, how we structure and how we pivot and NIL support team. And I did have to say that because it really is true that the moms are the ones who are in it. It's not absolutely. But I didn't want to, I never want to exclude anyone and make anyone feel like, oh, the men are not, because they really are. But the moms are the ones making the decisions on this level. If you look at every major athlete, black and usually white. Right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I talk to the coaches, everyone's going to talk to the moms and the dads hey, yeah, when your children okay, and you're okay with this, but the moms and the grandmothers, and all the time, every time. Yes.
Okay. Everybody, who else do we have? Do we have Dwight and Aaron and Daryl on?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let me know. Always, hon. Okay, so I'm going to let you all close this out, but you all come back in the morning and go right to, what these parents need to be looking out for. And Renee, I hope you will call in tomorrow as a teacher, given what you see, because she also has the experience as she's speaking to me, not just as a teacher, but as a mom. Children came out of the public schools and they too were recruited by Ivy League schools. And it's just very interesting, just how all of this shakes out. But even then, when you get in the system, because, Yusef, my baby brother, played Division I football. And it's just, it's all really interesting, everybody. It really, really is. And so we're going to make, you all can make some quick comments about that. And then we're going to pivot right into what happened in Washington yesterday, because boy, it is, I plan to go back up on the Hill, because they were not giving, I plan to go back up there later on today with my brother. So stand by. But so just give me, you all take 2 minutes each, okay, CK? CK?
Yeah, we will.
Okay, no, I just need to make sure that you heard me. Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm looking at the clock. If you're a traveler, you always have to look at the clock.
Okay, well. Okay, well then, you know what? Between 7:12, we'll be out. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show. WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota, and the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Please meet us over there, the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel and the Santita Jackson and Friends page on Facebook. We are streaming live. And everybody, please don't forget about the January 26th mayoral debate. It is going to be fantastic. Joan Esposito, Patty Vasquez, and I will be moderating this debate. We're going to have the top candidates there, and they will be answering questions from you. So please send me an email or reach out to me on Facebook or even on YouTube. Send questions. Let me know what you want to hear from these candidates. What are the issues that you want the next mayor of Chicago to address? So January 26th is going to be streaming on all the platforms. You don't want to miss it, everybody. All right, let's talk. We're going to close out this discussion on Damar Hamlin. I promise you we're going to bring it back tomorrow because there's something about this story. C.K. Hoffler said something so brilliant. It's like a George Floyd moment. So many of us to see someone literally at the height of his physical powers just collapse and his heart stops. It just, I never say it doesn't make sense. I'm saying we don't have all the pieces and we need to have all the pieces. And I want to hear different thoughts from people. A lot of people are talking about shots. A lot of people are talking about congenital heart issues, a blow to the chest. There are a lot of things that are out here. And we should not shut down the discussion because we need to know what happened to this young man and so many athletes who dropped dead on the field of battle. What's going on, everybody? Call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. But we're going to be pivoting at 12 minutes after the hour to a discussion on Kevin McCarthy. Will he become speaker? He said he's not going to stop. He hasn't moved out of that speaker's office that he moved into, maybe perhaps a little prematurely. Perhaps he knew something. Maybe he was promised something and people reneged on their promises. We don't know what happened. Certainly I don't. It's above my pay grade. But we need to talk about this. How can they govern? How can they govern with this kind of chaos and disarray? And of course, John Nichols will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. So let's get right to it, everybody. This is Wednesday, January 4th, 2024, 2023, excuse me. Yes, my brother Jonathan and Daley Ramirez and other members of the House of Representatives have not been sworn in yet because they do not have a Speaker of the House. What does that mean, everybody? In Chicago, we'll have a high of 41 degrees today, mostly cloudy. Snow in Minneapolis, St. Paul, 33 degrees. In the NFL, the Bills and the Bengals will not have their game resumed this week. It has playoff implications, and there are no changes that will be made to the Week 18 schedule according to the NFL. We will continue to look at this story. Of course, that has impacted everyone as we think about and pray for the family of Damar Hamlin, everybody. In the NBA, the Trailblazers will be playing the Timberwolves, and the Nets will be playing the Bulls. In the NHL, the Sabres beat the Capitals 5-4, but there was a lot of resonance with number 3. Of course, that is Damar Hamlin's number. And if you want to see God in action, think about that game. Think about that game. It was something to behold, everybody. 3 points, overtime. I mean, the symmetry is just amazing. The players scored 3 goals in the third quarter, 3 minutes into a 3-on-3 overtime on January 3rd. People were wearing the number 3 in the stands. And Mr. Thompson now has 30 goals this season. You can't make this stuff up. Well, God is real, everybody. God is real. So we still do not have a speaker in the U.S. House of Representatives. Will Kevin McCarthy be able to pull it out today? What's going to happen? Will he have to cut a deal with the Dems? Hakeem Jeffries says there will be no deal with him to put him in. And remember, Kevin McCarthy is not one of the more extreme Republicans. And or will he have to give in to what was 5 and what might be 20 Republicans? What's going on? Can't wait to hear from them about that. But some closing thoughts. Like, you got 3 minutes between the two of you, Attorney C.K. Hoffler and Attorney Shannon Holmes, as we talk about this issue. And you all will be coming back tomorrow so that you can give parents and people helpful hints and guidance about how they should deal with these athletes who are recruited and pulled in by these corporate entities. C.K. Hoffler.
Say very quickly and give time to Shannon. You must, as I'm looking at this, and I'm doing the same thing, treat your children who are on a collegiate level, and actually start in high school, but on a collegiate level, and definitely NFL, like a business. And if you have a business, you cultivate a business, you nurture a business, you protect a business, because they are part of a billion-dollar industry. So it is up to the parents and their loved ones to protect them. Do not rely on the schools, on the teams to protect them, because their interests are being protected. What does that mean? They need lawyers, they need doctors, they need people advising them, financial advisors, because they are now a business. And protect them and make sure that you understand their health. Know that at any time in a contact sport like football, disasters and injuries can happen. Protect your family. Shannon mentioned disability policies. There are a number of things, we'll talk about them tomorrow. But most importantly, pray. And we extend our prayers to the Hamlet family. And know that for each of you mothers like me, that could be us. It is not so far removed. So we continue to say prayers. Shannon?
All right, thanks for Santita and CK. Again, my prayers and thoughts are with the Hamlet family. And again, to echo what CK saying, we want to keep this as a business. I mean, we're looking at Hamlet now, and his business hangs in the balance. His ability to earn for his family hangs in the balance. And so you can't take these things lightly. It's not a matter of just running up and down the field or the court or swinging a bat, softball, baseball. It's a matter of using your talent, your skill set, and treating it like a service to another entity. And with that comes all these other things that CK mentioned, proper legal representation, proper medical consults, etc. I mean, we're all on the edge of our seat, as I said before, wanting to know more about how this happened, what happened, so that we can better deal with this type of scenario and be prepared in the future. And at this point, we just don't have a lot of the information. But there are all things we can generally do to be in better position going forward for families and kids and athletes who are out there playing, again, especially in a sport as violent and has as much contact as football. So again, I pray with the Hamlet family. Thank you again, Santita, and look forward to speaking with you more about this on tomorrow.
Amen to that. And thank you so much for that. We're going to have you back tomorrow because you need to know step by step, yes, what you need to do to protect our children. Well, oh boy, we still do not have members of Congress from the lower house, or U.S. House of Representatives, who've been sworn in because there is no Speaker of the House. For the first time in 100 years, since 1923, a Speaker of the House was not chosen on one ballot, on the first ballot. What does that mean? Of course, the erstwhile Speaker, if you will, would-be Speaker Kevin McCarthy, leader Kevin McCarthy, started moving into the Speaker's office days before the vote. But boy, was he in for a surprise. Hakeem Jeffries got more votes than he, and you got a chance to see a true unanimity amongst the Democrats, at least on that issue. Hakeem Jeffries has said, and this is Leader Jeffries, first African American to serve in this position in the history of the Republic, someone who is in line to become the next Speaker of the House. When the Democrats take over, first African American, he will be in that position. He said, we're not going to cut a deal with the Republicans. Wow. So what is happening? What does this mean? Of course, we have Aaron Connolly. We are here trying to wait so we can get Congresswoman-elect Ramirez and Congressman Jackson and others sworn in, because that has not happened yet. And of course, Darrell Jones, you were at the CPC swearing in yesterday. I wish I could have seen you there yesterday, but I was there, and that was a wonderful ceremony, but it doesn't bring in these congresspersons. But Dwight McKee, you predicted this chaos some time ago, CK. And CK, I know you were incredulous. Everybody was incredulous when he and Robert Patello talked about the chaos that they foresaw coming into 2020 and beyond, and it is still here. What happened yesterday, in your estimation, Dwight McKee?
Business as usual. It's there is a backbone of Republicans that are dedicated to chaos, and they are using their numbers to try to leverage themselves in such a way that they can have a disproportionate amount of power in Congress, but with no result to no resolve. And so it may come down to them having to put somebody else into play, even though I know he wants to hold on to that position. He may not have an option because they are as recalcitrant as he is. And let me say real quickly while we're on all the other subject is I totally agree with CK, but I think all our kids were treated as a business. In some ways, the slave master saw us more as an investment because it was his property as we do today in our own kids. And so I would take that and raise it up a notch. And that not only should our athletes perceive as business and investments, all of our children should be seen that way.
Every last one, because all these children have some genius somewhere. Aaron Connolly, what did you see? Come on, what did you see yesterday? Were you surprised when you saw Hakeem Jeffries get more votes than leader Kevin McCarthy? Were you expecting yesterday to have to unfold this way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think everybody, and I'm sure you heard the energy on the Hill going into this, what should have been a historic day for your family and many other freshmen coming into Congress. As you mentioned, my friend in Delia Ramirez was also not sworn in yesterday because of this chaos in the Republican Party. And we saw this crumble start, right? There's always been a crack. Donald Trump created that when he won the presidency. And I don't agree with Senator Lindsey Graham on many things, but I do agree that he was right in saying that Trump would destroy the Republican Party. And this is the evidence, right? We see these factions within the party. We see these crazy demands made by certain members of Congress, essentially holding this process hostage unless they get committee assignments, et cetera. And, I feel very bad for the Capitol staff that may have to move Kevin McCarthy's stuff out of the Speaker's office, right? He's already moved in and may have to move out. And I think the telling thing is you don't go to the floor unless you have the vote. And this process showed, it was proof to the American people that Democrats can govern effectively, consistently, competently. And when the Republicans are in charge, they can't even agree on who's leading them. And if they can't agree on who's leading them, they can't agree on what they're going to do, what their values are, what they're going to focus on policy-wise, right? So it doesn't look good to the American people, this type of infighting. And the speeches that were made were also chaotic. I think, I hope for the American people's sake and the folks in Congress and the staffers that some sort of consistency comes out today, right? I hope that there's progress because we need to get things done. We have, congressional reps that have not been sworn in. We were going to do a ceremonial swearing in for Delia Ramirez last night and weren't able to do it because she legally is still a congresswoman-elect, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to get to work. Let's help them get to work. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. If I had to guess, I would say that they're going to probably have a consensus candidate. That would be the smart thing to do before going back to the floor and having another embarrassing process. But I'm not sure that's the case. I think Kevin McCarthy has dug in his heels. I think there's portions of the folks that are loyal to him because he did show up for Republicans in their districts. He raised a lot of money. He was very hands-on for some of them. The Trump faction, as you saw, was not a part of that. So there is some of that. I'm not sure he's going to give up so easily. Like I said, his furniture is already in the Speaker's office, so that's hard to let go. But we'll see what happens today. I just hope for the American people's sake that we move forward.
Aaron, quickly, it's come to me. You don't hold a vote unless you have the numbers. Do you think that he got tricked? Because he was moving into the office. Or was this hubris? Was this just excessive pride, arrogance? What do you think?
I think it's fact that he did raise money for folks. Once that momentum is in place, I think he thought he would get enough to come over to his side, right? That when it comes down to it, they would pick party over personal gain. And we saw that did not happen, right? So I think it's a miscalculation and a misjudgment of his members. But I don't know. If I was running that show, I would make certain that I had those votes before I'm calling it an embarrassing myself in front of the whole country. That's just me.
No, but there's not just you. That's him too. He started moving into the office. I'm wondering if he was betrayed. I mean, I'm just saying, it's a thought, because I can't imagine him not having finally come up with the votes. I wouldn't have moved in, but, well, Daryl, what do you think? What happened here? Because this is just too weird, right?
Well, Santita, good morning. It's very weird, and I tell everyone to get their seatbelt. I think today is going to be as wild a ride as yesterday. Get your popcorn, because it's going to be somewhat entertaining to watch what's going on. And if you're looking to see a lot of progress occur, you're not going to see it. Look, what I believe is happening here is this. You're seeing, when Kevin McCarthy moved into that Speaker's office prematurely, he was trying to send a message to the Freedom Caucus that he was in control here. He was going to get the votes, and this was going to be his office. I think that what that is, that made the Democrat Freedom Caucus even more recalcitrant in their position against him. And so I think what you're seeing now is the Freedom Caucus showing the power that they're trying to define out of this particular Congress. And so you have them, saying, no, you're not going to be the Speaker. It's not going to go down like that. We're going to show you that we know what power we have, not only to affect the Speaker position, the election of the Speaker, but what we can do to legislation as well. You're going to listen to us. We're going to be a role. We're going to have a major role to play in all of this. That's what I think we saw going down with all these votes yesterday. And it's not the first time that this has occurred, because we know, was it 2008 or so with John Boehner, right? That the Tea Party was upset with him, and they could not get Boehner through. So as a result of that, that's how you ended up with Paul Ryan, who, much like Jim Jordan, said that I don't want the position, I don't want to be Speaker, but was elected to the position of Speaker. So, with the situation that we find ourselves in now, with regards to Kevin McCarthy, I don't know that he's going to be able to pull those votes together. And his one narrow path that he may try to have is trying to convince them to simply vote, present or absent, so that he can lower the threshold for him to get in. But I don't think that the Freedom Caucus has any reason to try to do anything to try to help him become Speaker, because he's not the person that they want. And if you end up seeing the compromise, I wouldn't be surprised to see the compromise candidate, whether it's Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise or someone else. That wouldn't surprise me. But I do think that what we're seeing now is a display of the power that the Freedom Caucus is showing to perhaps future Speaker McCarthy and the others in the party that they have as a caucus.
Everybody, what do you think? What do you think happened here? And what about George Santos? He sat there yawning on the floor, and just, should he have been seated? I want to know what your thoughts are. What does the seating of George Santos, what does it say about the party? But first, I'm going to bring up John Nichols. What do you all think is happening with the Republicans? Will they come up with a consensus candidate, a compromise candidate, if you will? Will Kevin McCarthy give up the fight? And will he have a power sharing agreement with someone who will take his place? What do you think? How will this all play out? Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. And furthermore, how will Republicans govern with this kind of schism in their party? Generally, Republicans, it has been said, kind of laughingly tongue-in-cheek, Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. They did not do that yesterday, but when you really, really think about it, boy, President Trump, former President Trump, has done a job on this party. He has busted the establishment, and this is where you see it. You know, remember, he chased Jeb off the stage, Marco Rubio off the stage, Ted Cruz off the stage. I mean, just one after another. And now you see the Republican Party in an era in which Americans are increasingly untied to both of the major parties. Americans are increasingly becoming independent. So, what does this mean, everybody? Can't wait to hear from John Nichols and this magnificent panel about that. And of course, someone is now calling me. Back with more of the Santita Jackson Show in just a minute. Hello? No, no. Okay. Oh, no, no, no. I'm going to do that on. Well, you know what? I'll do it. Yeah, I will. I will do it. Let me do it. Let me do that. Yeah, let me do it just to have it in the hopper. Okay, perfect. Okay, John? Oh, doing fine. Got a whole round of people with us today. Aaron Connolly and I are here in Washington. And of course, Congresswoman Ramirez, Delia Ramirez, the first Latina to be elected to Congress from the Midwest. She's not been sworn in. My brother's not been sworn in. No one was sworn in yesterday. We're still looking for that speaker. Maybe you can come back and talk about George Santos because that's its own thing, really. But C.K. Hoffler's on with us. Shannon Holmes. We've been talking about Damar Hamlin, that story, and of course Dwight McKee, brilliant social scientist, and Aaron Connolly again, and Attorney Darrell Jones. But we want to hear your analysis. I mean, I'm on Facebook Live right now. Of course, don't spend your best stuff right now. But is this crazy? Did you expect yesterday?
A little bit, I did. I think, look, the problem is that Kevin McCarthy's never really had control over his caucus. And he's an ineffectual leader. And that's really going to be the struggle going forward. The Republicans are going to have to find either a way to shore up McCarthy. He won't be able to do it himself. So it would be others who decided that they have to do it. Or they're going to have to find somebody else. And the likelihood is that that'll be Steve Scalise, the number two. But I'm afraid this is pretty well telegraphed a few days before, because you got a letter from 9 conservatives, hard-right conservatives, saying that they weren't satisfied. And essentially, on the morning of the vote, early in the morning of the vote, there was an effort to do a final negotiation, and McCarthy just wasn't able to whip them together. The way to understand it is, whether you liked her or not, Nancy Pelosi knew how to lead.
Yes, she did.
And there was no question she was in charge. And McCarthy has never risen to that level.
Well, no.
I mean, 90 seconds.
Well, I think this is where sexism comes into play. No one has given Nancy Pelosi credit for being the savvy politician that she is, for being the prodigious fundraiser that she is. And I tell you, another one of the great unsung powerhouses on the Hill is Maxine Waters.
Absolutely.
God, because the moves that she is making behind the scenes, everybody, will blow your mind. Yeah.
Well, that's all her. I can also say that Pelosi, because she empowered people, especially members of that California delegation. And if you work with Pelosi worked with you.
Absolutely.
And so that builds loyalty that you just don't see on the Republican side.
Well, I want you to go. Well, you go to it, and then I certainly want Dwight, who predicted this chaos too. A lot of people push back on it, and Aaron, who is there on the Hill, we're waiting to get.
30 seconds.
I have to run.
Oh, I love you, Aaron. Is this CK? Oh, that's right. You do. I'm sorry, CK. Love you.
Okay, well, bye-bye.
Okay, but tomorrow. Oh, wow. Shannon, are you still there, or did he have to run too? I don't know.
Shannon Reynolds.
Okay, so we have Daryl Jones, Aaron Connolly, attorneys, and Dwight McKee, social scientists. Okay, John. Okay, stand by. Let us change the world, change the world. Santita Jackson, WCPT 820, the nation's largest progressive talk radio station, and AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. Call us at 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT, and let us know what you think about what's happening in Washington. The GOP chaos is on full display. Who will be Speaker? Will Kevin McCarthy be able to cut a deal, or will they have to come up with another candidate who can get those 218 votes? That's really what it's going to take, everybody. I want you to call me at 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. January 26th, we have the mayoral debate, of course, hosted by Patty Vasquez, Joan Esposito, Santita Jackson. We have the top candidates who will be there. We're trying to get everybody there. And I want to get your questions. I want to know what you want us to ask. Please reach out to me at the Santita Jackson and Friends page or the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. And let me know what you want from our next mayor. Let us know. Let me know. And before we talk to John Nichols, as we do, we didn't talk to him on Tuesday, but we were able to get him today. I want to talk to you about financial freedom. Team Hochberg can help you. 855-56-DAVID, 855-56-DAVID, or 56david.com, 56david.com. Let's talk to them about not having any credit. Let's talk to them about having credit that is poor. Let's talk to them about building credit. Let's talk to them about getting a credit card, stopping the usage of your debit card. Bad for business, everybody. What about getting a credit card? What about developing a plan so that you can be in line to get a credit card? Many people have had bankruptcies or they have their credit so poor they can't get a credit card. What about getting a VA loan, an FHA loan? What about keeping your home out of foreclosure or getting it out of foreclosure? Getting your credit card debt eliminated. You shouldn't negotiate with these credit cards by credit card companies by yourself. You should let Team Hochberg do it. So I want you to call them at 855-56-DAVID, 855-56-DAVID, or go to 56david.com. If you call them, you'll get a free consultation. Let them know everything that is going on. They know it all. And what they'll do is do some investigating, and they'll follow up and come up with a plan for you. You owe it to yourself as we move into 2023 to get out of debt, to get up out of the hole. Tom and Sonia did it. They had 17 credit cards, $100,000 worth of debt on those credit cards, and they were on the verge of losing their home. They reached out to Team Hochberg. They said, look, might as well try this. Don't know if it's really going to work, but it did. Team Hochberg talked to the credit card companies, brought down their payments to the credit card companies down by nearly $3,000, more than $2,800 a month. And they were able to secure a loan for their home, to save their home. Their 2 kids are celebrating, and so is this wonderful couple. That could be you. Call them at 855-56-DAVID, 855-56-DAVID, or 56david.com. Just check them out, everybody. You owe it to yourself. John Nichols, national correspondent for The Nation magazine. These Dwight McKee and attorney Daryl Jones, chairman of the Transformative Justice Coalition, and attorney Aaron Connolly could not wait to hear your analysis. Aaron and I are here waiting to swear in Congresswoman-elect Delia Ramirez, Congressman-elect Jonathan Jackson, and others, Max Frost. That didn't happen yesterday, and we're wondering if it's going to happen today. What happened yesterday? What do you expect to happen today? John Nichols, The Nation magazine.
Sure. Yeah, I'm glad to be with you. Glad to be with all the folks today. Look, what happened yesterday was something that's entirely predictable. The Republican Party has ceased to be a political party that had powerful figures in positions at the head of legislative caucuses and become increasingly a party that exists outside of Washington, and primarily, even now, around one man, Donald Trump. And that has severely weakened the processes within the House of Representatives. Now, that intersects with another reality, and that is that Kevin McCarthy was one of the weakest links in the Republican leadership camp for a long time. If you go back a little over a decade ago, there were three sort of rising stars in the Republican caucus. They called themselves the Young Guns. Mm-hmm. That was Paul Ryan, Eric Cantor, and Kevin McCarthy. Mm-hmm. McCarthy was clearly the lesser of the trio. Now, Paul Ryan went on to be Speaker and just could not deal with Trump. And Ryan was a much stronger figure, but he couldn't deal with Trump, and so he finally just quit. Eric Cantor was beaten in his own party's primary, and so that left Kevin McCarthy as sort of the young leader with a claim on leadership of the caucus and potentially the speakership. But McCarthy never had the skills, and this is something that we underestimate a lot. In Congress, what you need to be a leader is a combination of that speaking ability, the ability to go out around the country and use your rhetoric, use your communication skills. McCarthy's pretty weak on that. But the other part of congressional leadership is what you do, frankly, behind closed doors. And that's the ability to speak to the members of what will always be a contentious caucus in either party. People of different views, people of different backgrounds, people of different weaknesses, and to get them together as a whole. Under Nancy Pelosi, whether you liked her or not, she did that so effortlessly that I think a lot of people just figured, put somebody in this leader and it's going to work. They'll use the power of the position. What we're now finding out is it doesn't work that way. And Kevin McCarthy is not prepared for the situation he's in. What's going to happen going forward? You wonder whether folks are going to get sworn in today. I'm going to tell you, and I could be wrong, and I'd certainly be glad to be wrong. I will bet that they don't. And I will bet that this chaos continues because until Kevin McCarthy steps aside or someone else, probably Steve Scalise, you're going to have this continued sort of battle. And the right-wingers who are pushing this, who are some of them very ideological, others very ambitious, they're going to keep pushing because they're, frankly, right now, winning. They're not losing. They're winning. They actually got one more vote against McCarthy on the third vote yesterday. But the one other thing I would add to this analysis, just so we keep it all in mind, that this is likely to be an ongoing chaos. And even if someone does finally get the speakership, it foretells chaos in the Republican caucus. The real winner, and the winner that I think we should all be rather excited about yesterday and going forward, is Hakeem Jeffries, the new leader of the Democratic caucus. He held his caucus, which is also somewhat contentious, together for 3 votes. He actually got more votes than Kevin McCarthy for Speaker. And frankly, at a time when the Republican Party is looking chaotic and dysfunctional, Hakeem Jeffries, taking over for Nancy Pelosi, is leading a Democratic Party that looks to be able to continue as a pretty strong and united force. That's a big deal going into this next Congress.
Well, a couple of things. With Nancy Pelosi, is it effortless or is it skillful? Have we underestimated her skill? I mean, because she is a very skilled politician, and she's done this really in 3 decades, right? And what about Hakeem Jeffries? Because he's vilified by many on the left for being someone who attacks the left. Of course, he has helped to lead I guess this is a new group of blue dog Democrats, but somehow or another, like you said, he was able to hold his caucus together and get more votes, vote after vote, ballot after ballot after ballot, than Kevin McCarthy. First, Nancy Pelosi, I just don't think we should underplay or just really understate her skills, which she made look effortless.
That's exactly right. Again, it goes back to that point. I think many people, because Nancy Pelosi's been there for so long, either as the leader of the Democratic caucus or as speaker now for the better part of 20 years, people just thought, oh, well, we know what a leader looks like, and she's pretty good at it. They just assumed that you could maybe insert someone else there. Here's the reason why Nancy Pelosi led the Democrats in Congress for the better part of 20 years. Think about that, 2 decades. That's very rare in history. And the reason was that she was, as you suggest, an incredibly skilled politician. And we denigrate politicians often. We say, oh, well, that's almost a term of derision. But the truth is that a skilled politician is somebody who can actually use power to get things done. Nancy Pelosi, you look back at things like the Affordable Care Act, many pieces of legislation in that first 2 years of Obama's term, and actually, frankly, an incredible amount of legislation in the first 2 years of Joe Biden's term. So Pelosi's good at what she does, and she has a 50-year, 60, 70, 80-year record. It's not just the last 30 years. It's important to understand she is the daughter of former mayor of Baltimore, former congressman who dated back to the Roosevelt era. And so she was raised in politics. She knows how this thing works. And that's really her strength in Congress. Now, I'd also say one other strength for her, which is that she was able to modernize. She had all this history, all this background, but she was also able to recognize new trends, new demand, and usually, not always, but usually do pretty well at integrating in kind of the progress within not just the parties but the country. Now, let's look at Hakeem Jeffries. Jeffries, obviously much younger, 52 years old, one of the younger speakers in history, but somebody who's been around Congress for a long time, came out of that New York City political ferment, and that's a good thing, right? Coming out of New York, which is a tough city to do politics in, tough city to get elected to Congress and hold a seat from, and frankly, somebody who was tutored by a lot of veteran members of Congress, including going back to Charlie Rangel. Hakeem Jeffries came to leadership with skills. Now, you're right, maybe there's people who disagreed with him on one issue or another over the years, but it's important to understand that when you get to that leadership level, you're going to have made enemies. You're going to have made had a few disagreements along the way. But Jeffries faced his first test when Nancy Pelosi signaled she was going to step down. Question, would there be a fight for the speakership, or for the leadership of the caucus? No, there was not. Jeffries was the united choice. And the interesting thing about it is, I've talked to many progressives who, frankly, really respected him, but also valued the fact that he reached out to them in very effective ways early on. So he has, like Pelosi, a lot of communication with every sector of the caucus. And the second thing is, after getting the leadership, his real test came yesterday, right? Could the Democrats go into that situation as an absolutely united bloc that was able to show unity and strength, even in its minority position, as opposed to the majority Republicans? They did it. They came through yesterday looking strong. Jeffries and the Democrats, if you looked at the speeches that were given by Congressman Aguilar and others, they were strong, they were confident, they were good-humored. They were able to aggressively go after the Republicans at a time when the Republicans were struggling with one another and not doing very well. And so, frankly, although he is a very caucus leader, I think Hakeem Jeffries is having one of the sort of best openings of his tenure that we've seen as someone in that position. And if he carries it forward, with Nancy Pelosi, still there as Speaker Emeritus, and obviously backing people up when needed. But frankly, I don't think Jeffries is going to need a lot of backup. My sense is he's going to lead an effective opposition, and there are others rising with him. That again, I think that while the Democrats are in the minority, and that's going to be tough, we're starting at this very early stage to see signals that they're going to be able to handle it.
Do you think this will play out, or how will this play out in the broader electoral landscape? Do you see,
very good question.
Well, I mean, do you see chaos? I mean, or do you see community when it comes to the Republicans?
No, it's absolute chaos, and it's chaos going forward. There's simply no question of that. And here's the challenge. You said it going into going into this segment, Santita, when you were talking about, that Trump pretty well destroyed the establishment in the Republican Party. And that was true, especially in the House of Representatives. Well, that's true in the Senate. I mean, Mitch McConnell is still there. He is in a minority position, in fact, in a weaker minority position. But he's pretty well got his team in place, and he can hold on to what he's got. But it really is something of the past holding on. In the House, you had a situation where Trump tore through, just as he tore through his opponents in the 2016 campaign, he tore through the leadership of the House, and frankly was incredibly dismissive, incredibly demeaning, frankly, of the people who might be potential leaders. Look at Kevin McCarthy's story. Kevin McCarthy's a guy who got caught again and again and again on hot mics talking about what a bad player Trump was. It was Kevin McCarthy who's one of the first people who suggested that Trump had sold out to the Russians. It was Kevin McCarthy who again and again got caught, saying, what a bad player Trump was. It was Kevin McCarthy who, back on January 6th, pointed a finger of blame at Donald Trump. And then at every turn, when things got tough, it was Kevin McCarthy who flew off to Mar-a-Lago and, kissed the ring of Donald Trump and showed that he was not going to be, an equal player in the leadership of the party. He was not going to be a serious player. He was going to, bend to whatever wind was blowing his way. And so McCarthy is really a play out of what Trump has done to the party. And even as Trump weakens, right, there is not a natural successor. There's certainly not a natural successor at the presidential level. In fact, Trump will undoubtedly run again and may well win the nomination, which would be a disaster for the Republicans. And that plays out through the whole party. Look at one kind of core measure, Santita, and that is if we use electoral politics as our measure of success or failure, right? The basic line, not once you're in government, but the basic question of can you get power? Well, Donald Trump was defeated by 3 million votes in 2016, but thanks to the Electoral College, he became president. In 2018, the Republicans had a disastrous midterm election cycle where they had setbacks at the congressional level and in states across the country. In 2020, Republicans lost the presidency, and Democrats got control of the Senate, the Senate and the House and the presidency. In 2022, while Republicans did claw back by an incredibly narrow margin the House of Representatives, they lost the Senate by a wider margin, and in the states, they had dramatic setbacks in governorships, in Secretary of State races, etc., in state legislative races. And so you really had 3 election cycles in a row, 2018, 2020, 2022, where the Republicans have failed. They've failed on their baseline mission. And I think that now you're seeing that failure come back to haunt them on the governing side of this equation. And what I think it foretells for the future is, yes, more chaos, and also a situation where the Democrats are very strategic, very smart in what they do in the Senate, what they do with their strong minority status in the House, and what President Biden does, especially as regards executive orders. They might well be able to navigate this next 2 years much more strongly than I think most of us expected.
Yet another surprise. I want to get a minute from each one of my panelists before John wraps things up. Attorney Darrell Jones, what's next? That's the best I can come up with. I just don't know.
Santita, I think I go back to what I said in the opening. I think that what's next is you pop your popcorn, you get your soft drink, and you sit and you watch this ride.
Are we going up to the hill today? Is that what we're going to do, Darrell?
Okay. It won't be Garrett's popcorn, but I'll bring some popcorn and sit there and watch this happen, Santita. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens now, and I just don't know the answer. As John said, I look for Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan or someone to emerge from the pack to try to, somehow bring some type of consensus to a resolution for the Speaker of the House. I'm very concerned for the future of our House of Representatives if this is the demonstration, the epitome of what they're going to be doing over the next 2 years. I'm concerned.
Aaron Connolly, I'm bringing some popcorn up there. Daryl and I are coming. We're coming. He's supposed to be. We're all supposed to be getting together at some point.
I
So,
love popcorn.
Or something, and the dental floss. I'll bring that too. But you got 1 minute.
Well, political scientists all over the country, this is like better than a season finale of their favorite show, right? You can't write this type of political drama. So I think we got to wait and see. We have to see what they hammered out like late into the night. I can't imagine it's going to be a day where we see anything but some fireworks. And the one thing I do want to say, Nancy Pelosi really, really deserves so much more credit than she gets.
Oh, yeah.
She has been a beyond confident leader. She is brilliant. She is tough. She is smart. And what she was able to continue to lead yesterday and say, look at this. Democrats are behind their leadership in a completely united front, right? And that's not easy to do either. But they are. And what we see from the Republican majority is complete chaos. They can't even pick their captain. So how can we trust and invest in folks that aren't trusting us?
Well,
right, that don't put us before their own victory. And I think there has to be some sort of consensus candidate. I think it remains to be seen who that is. I've heard a few other names that I don't even want to throw out there. I don't want to jinx it. But we'll see what happens. And our hope is people are anxious to get to work. They want to get to work for the people, and they can't. And I hope it doesn't go on too much longer, but we'll have to just wait and see. But bring the popcorn, I'll be there.
Well, they can get to work. They just need to let people know what's going on. That's part of the work. This is government at work, and this is power at work. And we have to let people understand that this is power. Dwight McKee. Wow. 1 minute for you. Wow. What's next?
Well, McCarthy thought that Trump was fooled by his comment and his psychopathic behavior. He was profoundly mistaken. And I think behind all of this is Trump manipulating the time. That he had always committed. He gave McCarthy the impression that he was fooled by all that, but he was listening to the Peloton. And he was listening to the microphones and really got a sense of their true feelings about him. And so he plays hardball. So he's taking his little coffee scoop behind the scenes, sabotage the process till he gets the people that are lined up who he wants lined up, who probably would not be. I think that we have to give Pelosi a lot of credit for how fluid and profound she was in playing politics on the Democratic side. But I think we also have to give Trump as much credit as strategic as he is on how he plays politics on the Republican side. There's a tendency with us to think that she's smart and he's dumb.
Yes.
But that's not the case at all. She's smart, and so is he. And they play hardball at a different level. She has a much more sedate, much more affable, much more gracious approach to it than he does. But behind the scenes, she's as hard-nosed as he is.
Absolutely.
But you also have to understand, even though he plays hardball and he has a very hostile approach and style, his strategy is as strategic as hers is.
Absolutely.
And once we learn it, we understand what game we're looking at.
The last minute, a little bit of change belongs to you. Go on, John. Wow.
Look, I'll agree with everything that everybody said here, which is so wise and strong. And let me just add one other word: discipline. In college, when you're trying to manage a lot of people, you have to yourself be disciplined, right? You have to be focused. willing to show up earlier, stay later, work harder than everybody else. And that was what you saw with Nancy Pelosi. No one doubted her discipline. Nobody doubted that she was working as hard or harder than anybody else there. There's never been that sense with Kevin McCarthy. He has never shown that level of kind of self-control and focus. And I think coming to a head for him, I think that smart Republicans are going to start looking for somebody else. I think there'll be a tendency to look at Steve Scalise, who is a more disciplined politician. Yeah. But frankly, Scalise is extremely conservative, far more clearly right-wing than McCarthy. And I don't think that will sell well with the American people. So at the end of the day, the Republicans in Congress are in a situation that I don't think they can cure. They will eventually get a speaker, and your brother will eventually be sworn in, Santita, as well as Ellie Ramirez and others. But I'm not sure that the Republican crisis will be resolved just with picking a speaker. I think this is going to be a problem through the whole Congress.
Stay right there. We'll get a little bit more on the other side on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Can't wait to be with you tomorrow, everybody. In the meantime, get that popcorn and stay tuned. Love you, everybody. Have a great one. All right. John, I want you to just give us a little bit more. What hashtag hot mess? But it's not really a hot mess. I think Dwight brought up something, and I think that you intimated something that I think is very, very important. I think that, underestimating anyone, I think, is foolish. Attorney Jones and Aaron Connolly, and, Dwight says it all the time, and you do too. Underestimating former President Trump's skills as a politician. I mean, this man, it is hard to stay relevant for 24 hours, everybody. He has been in the headlines 5 decades. You don't just do that. I mean, working for Reverend Jackson has been a gift because Diana Ross, you look at the Supremes, right? Which you and I missed, but they are a legendary, iconic act, right? And all of the Supremes are part of a nostalgia show. Everybody except Diana Ross, right? Everybody except her. Diana Ross is relevant today. How did she do it? I think you need to ask that question if you want to last. And you can keep on going and looking at people. Look at Lionel Richie. He's relevant today. I love the Commodores, y'all. I love them. But it's the way we view, how is it that Michael Jackson stayed relevant? And he's relevant with little children today because he marketed himself very differently. You have to understand how people stay relevant. And I got to say, and how did this woman stay in power 20 years? But when you know her background, it's not just her background. She absorbed something from her father and from what she saw. She's tough. And there's something that she sees in Hakeem Jeffries, who you made the point, John, that he has, even with policy disagreements with progressives, he has personal alliances with them. What can you say?
That's right. Yeah. Well, look, what I can say is that essentially what I said, this is almost a the show, but let's put an exclamation mark on it. The Republican Party's in chaos. There's a lot of reasons for that chaos. But at the end of the day, it goes back to something that does relate to Trump. And it's something that's really sort of underestimated when we look at the guy. It is absolutely true that Donald Trump is a master communicator, like Reagan. The guy knows how to keep in the center of things, to keep in the headline, and to use those headlines to leverage his power and to use that power against anyone else who might be a threat to him within the Republican Party. However, he's taken down most of the Republican Party leadership over the last few years. But there is one important thing to understand. Politics has 2 sides. One is getting power, but the other is exercising power. And Trump is great at, the communication side that has a role in getting power. agenda. They should be delivering a message. Trump didn't allow them to do that. He didn't allow them to generate organic leadership within their own ranks. He didn't allow them to develop their own message or their own focus. That's one of the reasons they did as badly as they did in the 2022 cycle. And he's not going to let that happen. And so, as a result, we keep focusing on, the problems in the House, the chaos there. Really, it's a reflection of the broader chaos in the Republican Party. Until the Republican Party moves beyond Donald Trump, you're not going to see this result. This is going to be an ongoing, clown car. And where I think we ought to focus on one final point I'll make here is that you're right to get the popcorn. It is amazing to watch something like this happen. Very historic. We haven't seen multiple ballot speakerships since 1923, 100 years ago. We haven't seen, this kind of chaos since even before then. And so, okay there. But do recognize this chaos is likely, unless the Democrats pull a lot of rabbits out of the hat, it is likely to prevent functional government for the next 2 years. And so the Republicans won't be able to get anything done. They're not going to add anything positive to the process, but they will likely be able to prevent Democrats from getting things done. And so as a result, you end up in a situation where for 2 more years, the fundamental crises of the country, 400 years of systemic racism, an environmental, climate catastrophe that is becoming more urgent by the minute, growing economic inequality, the lingering realities of the pandemic, all of these things that should be focused on will not be effectively focused on. And for the Democrats, even if they can't effectively govern because of the Republican control of the House and because of the chaos there, what they need to do is get much more serious about delivering messages as regards what's not getting done because of Republican chaos, and then put the focus on 2024 to say, this country finally has to give genuine power to a party that wants to govern. And at this point, there's only one party that actually wants to govern.
Dwight McKee, your thoughts before we go?
Well, I'll say a couple of things. One is, Trump does not care if Republicans cannot govern. His goal is to make sure that Biden can't go. Because that's his opposition, is Biden. And so the more chaotic it is, and the less accomplishments Biden has to show, the better chance he has to compete against Biden on its stage. And so this is strategic chaos, in my opinion. And that if he can keep the Republicans in disarray and keep the Democrats from being able to create that traction, it's a victory for him. Because his argument is going to be, Biden has been there for 4 years. Are you better off today than you were then? This man does not know how to govern, and I do. Please put me back in the White House. And he will find an audience who will listen.
Well, Daryl, do you have anything you want to add, Aaron, before we go? Daryl?
No, I think I'm on board with what Dwight has really laid out. That it'll be very interesting to see if there is this incredible plan that Trump has had in place, and that there's some of his minions that are mucking up the water so he can come in and say that he is the great one who can, he alone, I think was the statement, I alone can restore this. And it's going to be very interesting to see if that's the case. Again, I'm just amazed at what's going on with this, because I think this is just a sample. I really do believe that this is just a sample for that Freedom Caucus of the power they're going to exert from here on in. And this is just a tipping point. So it's going to be really interesting to watch it all play out.
Aaron, before we go.
Well, it's another big day. I need more coffee. I'm sure everybody else does too. But I'm looking forward to being in the office and watching on the Hill, and hopefully, seeing our folks sworn in. But I don't know. I don't want to be a political maybe we pull it out and that, you know.
Well, you know what?
Very unlikely. Never know.
Let me know where you are. I'm gonna run and see a couple of people this morning, but I'm gonna be heading toward the hill midday, and there is that. So I love you all, John Nichols. Love you, love you. Is there anything else you thought about, John, that we need to be looking for today?
No, I think we've covered the territory well, and what I would just leave people with is that core question that we wrestled with a little bit here, and that is, at what point do we start governing? Right? And the beginning of governing is not the choice of the speaker; it is the swearing in of members of Congress and assigning them to committees, and the beginning of a process of actually trying to do something. This chaos in the Republican Party could go on for days. If it does, that's very problematic. It could even go on for weeks. Before the Civil War, there was a fight for the speakership that went on, literally for weeks. And this is something people need to understand. It is a crisis in the Republican Party. It's not a crisis in Congress. Crisis within the Republican Party. And if they fail to get their act together, that is a great opening for the Democrats to say, look, just compare. When Nancy Pelosi was there, again, like her or dislike her, Democrats always got their act together. They started governing immediately. When the Republicans have taken charge, they cannot get their act together. They are not governing. That's an incredibly powerful message for the American people.
Wow. And Trump busted the party. And boy, oh boy, this is when you see it. This is when you see it. It's amazing to watch all of this. And I want to watch every little bit. Love you, John. Happy New Year to you and your beautiful family. Happy New Year to you, Dwight McKee. Happy New Year to you, Daryl. I hope to see you today. And Happy New Year to you, Aaron. I will see you in a little bit. Love you, love you, love everybody. Can't wait to be with you tomorrow, Lord willing, on the Santita Jackson Show, coming from this hotel room, or maybe even the bus. Love you, everybody. God bless. Thank you for a great show, Henry. God bless you, everybody. See you tomorrow.